Imagine walking into a room filled with white flowers and guests eating fancy cake while carrying a heavy electric guitar and a drum kit. Leo, the lead singer, realizes the gravity of his mistake instantly. He booked the wrong venue on the wrong day for the wrong crowd. To make it worse, the hotel manager is already heading his way, fast-paced, clipboard in hand, and clearly looking for answers. For an English learner, this is a moment of total exposure. It is a high-pressure confrontation where you need to explain a complex problem, but the words you need have completely vanished. This is where the brain stalls. When we focus on speaking flawlessly, fast sentences hit a bottleneck, causing a total system crash. Your mind goes blank. You feel invisible, like a ghost, unable to make your voice heard. Trying to reach for grammatical perfection during a crisis doesn't help you avoid mistakes. It simply silences you, leaving the conflict completely unresolved. Just as Leo begins to spiral, a waiter named John steps in. He notices the panic and offers a different way to look at the situation. John points out that perfection acts as a wall, blocking you from others. Connection, however, is a door. Learning a language is a marathon. In a long race, stumbling over a word is just a normal part of the distance you have to cover to reach the finish line. When you prioritize being understood over being perfect, your brain unfreezes. You stop worrying about the mechanics and start focusing on the person in front of you. To navigate the crisis, Leo needs a few reliable phrases, ready-to-use sentences that protect him from falling back into silence. He starts with a polite opening. "I'm sorry, but there is a small issue." This small phrase signals to the listener that a conversation is starting and they need to pay attention. Then he states the core fact without any extra fluff. "I made a mistake with the booking." Simple, direct, and effective. If the manager speaks too quickly, Leo uses a phrase to slow things down. "I'm sorry, I don't understand. Can you speak slowly, please?" Watch how the speed of the conversation drops from a panic to something manageable. These phrases only work if you use a clear, confident voice. Whispering makes you harder to understand, but a steady volume helps a native speaker follow your meaning even if your vocabulary is limited. Instead of hiding behind his guitar case, Leo steps forward. He intercepts the manager before the situation can spiral out of control. He asks the manager to slow down. By doing this, he forces the manager to break his aggressive rhythm and actually listen. Leo delivers the facts about the booking error clearly. He focuses on the message, refusing to get caught in a loop of grammatical doubt. By letting go of the need for perfection, Leo successfully moves the information from his mind to the manager's. He has achieved the primary purpose of language, an exchange of ideas. The manager's attitude changes instantly. Once he understands the situation, he stops being an adversary and starts looking for a solution. It turns out the scheduled wedding band never arrived. Since Leo spoke up, the manager hires the rock band on the spot to play romantic songs for the guests. This outcome was only possible because Leo chose to connect. If he had waited until his English was perfect to speak, the opportunity would have passed him by. Making a mistake in a second language isn't an endpoint. It is a teacher that opens doors to new experiences, provided you are brave enough to stay in the conversation. Let's review the 5 words from today's story: booking, mistake, manager, stage, and brave. We also saw how to use have to for things that are necessary, like when you have to check a booking or have to explain a problem. Now, tell me about your own experiences. Have you ever made a mistake while speaking a different language? Share your story in the comments below. Remember, keep moving forward in your...
Imagine walking through a set of grand doors, carrying heavy electric guitars and drum kits, ready to perform. But instead of a loud concert hall, you step into a room covered in white flowers, filled with guests eating fancy cake and a bride standing in a pristine white dress. This is where Leo, our band's lead singer, finds himself. He realizes he made a catastrophic mistake with the booking. To make matters worse, a very frustrated hotel manager is power walking directly toward him with a clipboard. This diagram illustrates exactly what happens in Leo's brain next. It's called the language panic loop. A native speaker talking at full speed acts as the trigger. That speed floods the brain, causing cognitive overload, which immediately leads to a complete vocabulary freeze. For the learner, the experience is debilitating. Leo calls it the ghost effect. Your mind goes blank. You forget words you've practiced for years. You feel totally invisible, like a quiet ghost unable to make a single sound. At the peak of this panic loop, Leo faces a choice. Option A, succumb to the freeze, run out the back door and hide. Or option B, break the loop and engage the manager directly. Surviving a language disaster like this isn't about having a larger vocabulary. It requires a specific tactical mechanism, a way to actively halt the physiological freeze response so you can regain control of the situation. The intervention begins behind the audio speakers, a quiet corner where Leo tries to hide. A friendly event waiter named John notices the panic and pulls Leo aside, creating an isolated moment to pause the chaos. John explains that fluency is built over years of practice, and the pressure to be perfect right now is actually what's causing the freeze. He tells Leo to stop worrying about making errors and focus on the problem at hand. When you focus on absolute grammatical perfection during a stressful moment, you build a mental wall. That wall increases your cognitive load, making it almost impossible to function under pressure. The alternative to that perfection wall is what John calls a connection door. By prioritizing the basic transmission of facts, even if the grammar is broken, you can escape the loop. In a crisis, your goal is not to perform a flawless monologue. It is simply to establish enough of a connection to solve the immediate error with the person standing in front of you. To cross through that connection door, John helps Leo build a communication shield. This is a structural, pre-rehearsed verbal framework designed to protect your confidence when you are overwhelmed. It starts with a polite opener. This first tactic uses a standardized phrase, "I'm sorry, but there is a small issue." Using this sentence signals that a problem exists, without needing to formulate a complex explanation. Next is the factual confession. You explicitly state the error. "I made a mistake with the booking." Finally, the speed break. Say, "Can you speak slowly, please?" This forces the native speaker to reduce their speed so you can process. Deploying this shield requires a posture shift. You have to abandon the quiet whispers of the ghost and instead project the clear, loud voice of the boss. Having these 3 phrases ready allows a learner to pause an overwhelming interaction and bring the conversation back to a manageable pace. Equipped with his shield, Leo walks straight up to the wedding manager. As the manager launches into a fast-paced rant, Leo interrupts him, asking him to speak slowly because he is a learner. The manager's tone changes instantly. He stops rushing, apologizes for speaking too quickly, and starts looking for a way to help. Because they established a connection, they discover that the official wedding band's car broke down. This allows Leo's rock band to take the stage and save the reception by playing a slow, romantic song. This is brave communication. It means making the decision to move forward and speak clearly, even when you are scared and your English is imperfect. Let's review the 5 critical English vocabulary words Leo used to solve this crisis. Booking, mistake, manager, stage, and brave. We can also use the phrase have to for specific needs during a crisis, like saying, "I have to explain the problem," or "you have to check your booking." Making mistakes is how you grow. Every learner faces the same panic loop at some point. Have you ever made a big mistake in a foreign country? Tell me your story in the comments using the word mistake. Keep moving forward and never stop your voice.